BYU's defensive line has obviously had a resurgence this year. They're almost halfway to their goal, not their goal, but halfway to their total sack number from a year ago. They've got 5 sacks through 2 games this year. They had 11 in the entirety of the 2023 football season. QB hits, tackles for loss, just the overall tenor and play of the BYU defense has gone up. And it obviously starts up front with the BYU defensive line. John Nelson, Blake Mangelson, Tyler Batty, Isaiah Banya, Logan Latui. There are a bevy of names that you will think of when it comes to that BYU defensive line. But I wanted to introduce you to a guy that I have had a great time watching out there, because relative to a bunch of guys literally in his own position room, he doesn't fit. And you'll hear him talk about it. He acknowledges that very fact. But Josh Singh is an incredible human being, has got a really cool story to tell, and obviously is living his dream playing for the BYU football program. And I had a chance to catch up with him at practice yesterday to talk about all that. How does a guy like you, who's a walk-on, end up as a second-string defensive tackle for the BYU football program?
Honestly, it's been a journey being here. It's a blessing being here even as a walk-on. But it just comes down to consistency. I think that's what Coach Po'uha talks to us every day about, is being consistently doing your job at the highest level. And if you keep doing that, it doesn't matter who you are, how big you are. I feel like if you do your job, you can do your job. Now,
I had a friend who was watching the game last Friday, and I said, "Who was number 99?" I'm like, "Well, his name is Josh Singh." Like, well, who is? I give him kind of the background on you. So can you just essentially tell people who you are, where you're from, etc.?
I'm from Laramie, Hawaii originally. Lived there most of my life. I moved to Orem High School, went in my junior year. Finished ball there right after COVID, or right during the season of COVID. So I got lucky because Hawaii was pretty bad with COVID. Ended up here in 2021, walked on, and it's been here since. So just working my way up to playing ball now.
How does it feel to be contributing to this defense right now?
It's been I love this defense. This defense, we run a bunch of 4-2, a bunch of 3-down, but look, everything you can think of we'll probably run. And it's been nice, especially having Coach Hill, Coach Po'uha, Coach A here now. It's been good.
Well, I wanted to ask you about, because you got Coach A, you got Chad Kauha'aha'a. They're all working with you guys along this defensive line. How much would you credit those guys and their work with you guys in terms of your improvement this year? I think that's you guys may be the most single improved unit on this team.
Yeah, I mean, they all bring in a different background. They all been to the biggest of places. They've all seen the best talent. They've all produced the best talent. So kind of just taking every bit you can from each one of them. And I think that's going to pay off in the long run. And which is what our group has done so far, which is we've been pretty dominant. So we just got to keep being dominant, and we'll be good.
How did you feel about the overall performance against SMU?
It was great. Could be better. There's always room for improvement, little things. But just got to keep it going.
Did you guys know, I guess, before earlier this week, that you guys were the only team outside of Georgia to have held a Power 4 opponent without a touchdown in a game?
I did not know that. I just found that out now. That's pretty cool. But, you got to shut them out to 0. That's the goal. That's always the goal. And then just keep making plays.
Now, the defense, in many respects, on Friday was bailing the offense out, obviously getting out of some scrapes there. How gratifying was that you guys know that you guys could go on the field and shut a team like that down?
We knew SMU was a powerhouse. They're a great offense. So, it just came down to doing our job. Every 11 man on the field, just doing your job.
Now, you guys have generated quite a bit of pressure this year, a lot of QB hits, sacks. I think you're almost halfway to the sack total you had a season ago.
Exactly.
What's been the key to that?
Just doing our job. I think last year we still learning the defense. This year everyone's doing their job, and when everyone does their part, it's just like poetry. It just flows.
How big is it to have guys like Dak Kelly, Isaiah Glask, or even Harrison at a linebacker spot helping in that regard?
Man, they've been great. I mean, they've been filling gaps, hitting holes, getting sacks. So they bring the pressure. I trust all my guys around me, and our group. We just got to keep doing our job, and we'll see what happens.
Now against SMU, we saw you guys coming with that 3-3 stack defense. Is that kind of a one-off, or is that something you guys are going to be able to utilize going forward?
I feel like that's a question for more probably Coach Hill, but we honestly can go from 4-2 to 3-3. We can play whatever. Just put our hand in the dirt and make a play. That's the goal.
All right, now you guys go head up to Wyoming this week. I know you're a kid from Hawaii. Do you know much about the history between the Cougars and the Pokes?
A little bit. I know there's some rivalry there, but just another team right now that we're excited to play. They have a great offense, so we're just excited to play them.
Their reputation as a power run team, how exciting is that for you as a defensive tackle?
I mean, it's just another game, honestly. You just got to do your job. Everyone will, just do your job.
What do you see from them offensively, like scouting report-wise? What do you see in particular?
Right now, I know they're a lot heavier in the run, like you said. But I think at the end of the day, it's just down to doing your job. Like Coach Po'uha tells us every day, just do your job. Do your job, knock it back, hold the double, and defense will make the plays.
Now, I don't mean this to sound facetious or anything like that, but you are an undersized defensive tackle.
Yep.
What is your chief skill that makes you succeed at this level?
I got that a lot, getting recruited. I think you guys know how it goes.
I'm fully aware.
Being 6 foot, 285, you don't really get all the looks like a lot of the bigger guys do, right? So I think it just comes down to playing your cards. Something Coach Poole has always taught me is just play your cards. So my skill set comes down to my twitch and my technique. That's the two things I always focus on. So just using those two and then trying to make the most of it.
You have natural leverage as well, I would imagine.
Yep, there's a reason why guys like Calijah, Cancey, Aaron Donald, Byron Murphy, we're all similar in size, but they make plays because they use their leverage and technique. So it's learning from those guys is amazing as well.
Well, let me ask you, did you take inspiration from guys like that?
Yeah, I actually chopped it up with Calijah Cancey a couple times last year. Okay. He plays for the Bucks right now, but just seeing those guys and then understanding what they do, and then it helps to improve my game just watching them too.
That is Josh Singh, and a big thank you to him for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. You can tell he's a guy he's living the dream. He's a walk-on who's really just been hanging around the program, working his way up methodically on the scout team for a large stretch of his career to this point. I remember watching him at Orem High School, and I just watched him absolutely maul opposing offensive lines, and he lists himself at 6 foot, 285 right now. If he played at Orem at 260, I would be floored. He was just an absolutely incredible athlete for his size relative to a bunch of guys that, like I said, he was mauling at the point of attack in high school. It's translated over. I thought he played extremely well against SMU. You may have seen him out there, number 99, and said, who is that guy out there? Well, that's Josh Singh. And a big thank you to him for taking the time. He grew up in Laie, Hawaii, came to Orem High School, and once again, he's living the dream playing for the BYU Cougars. And there's stories like that. They're easy for guys to root for, I feel like, because Josh has a really cool story to tell. He obviously is happy to be where he's at with the BYU football program. And so long as he continues to produce, there's no reason to think that he will not continue to run, at least with the twos, for BYU on that defensive line. I can tell you there were multiple points during training camp. We saw him working with the ones on the defensive line. He plays with grit. He plays with tenacity. His strength is, I think, very good relative to his size. And you're going to talk about guys like Aaron Donald and the guys he looks up to in the NFL. Those are great role models because a lot of them are shorter guys and maybe not the biggest guys out there, but they're freakish athletes. And that's what Josh is. He's got an incredible first step. That was one of his chief strengths in high school, and it's translated over to this level. And if he continues to do what he's doing, he's going to obviously leave guys in his wake that are bigger and probably more highly thought of athletes. I use the comparison with Josh in my mind of Tanner Wall. Remember, Tanner Wall was a former walk-on wide receiver, moved over to safety, and is now the starting free safety for the BYU football program. We heard all summer long that, hey, maybe Tommy Prastis, Raider DeMooney, or one of these other guys was going to win the job who's a highly thought of prospect and recruit for the BYU football program. But there's this walk-on Tanner Wall starting there. Josh hasn't earned a starting job yet on the defensive line, but he's firmly in the rotation, and he's exceeded all expectations I would have had for him coming into this program. And you can tell that he is very happy to be where he's at, but he's also not satisfied because, as he says, the whole goal of this defense is, quote, do your job. And that's a really good, I think, motto to go by for this BYU defense.